Welcome to the speed and agility unit of your athletic development program. We're into our final phase now. I'm just going to split up into 2 blocks. So the first block, we'll talk you through the exercise we'd like you to do, a good warm-up basically, and also the warm-up has got some good movements that transfer over to the game, doing a bit of an agility circuit, and then the final speed stuff that we'd like you to do also. It's important here that we just get the mechanics right, but also then the volume of this right. So this is for the adult and advanced, the same thing for both. The only difference is on the repetitions and the volume. Now, I would say to you at home, because there's games and training and everything else, please select the volume that's appropriate to you. But adding this into your training will obviously supplement your game for sure. Okay, first thing we're going to go through is a warm-up. So you've done A skips for me before, but we'll go through it if anyone hasn't done it before. So set up a track about 10 meters, 10-15 meters is all you need. A skip, the important point here is that this replicates the first few steps of your acceleration. So we're really trying to get the mechanics right on the A skips to help your acceleration. Good, right, so we're a lot of force into, yeah, walk back again, mate, and then we'll do the same one again. Good. Good. Really good mechanics here, right? So it's important here that the foot comes up, it hit balls of the floor, balls of the feet hit the floor. Hands are also in the action. If you want to know how important the hands are, just need to put your knee on the floor, get into this position, start doing that quick on grass, and you'll see the impact the knee has on the floor just by using the hands. So the hands create a good bit of force down through the limbs, through the legs, and then applying that force into the floor, into that pattern will help your acceleration. The next one we want on to is a B skip. So this is more for max speed stuff. Yeah, so the foot comes around, good. The contact is underneath the hips. Hands are working again in sync. And we'll do one more on the way back. And it's more of a cyclic action. The foot's coming around, balls of the feet are hitting the floor. Make sure that contact, the balls of feet are coming around, so the mechanics are like this, the knees coming up, the foot's coming around, and it's hitting underneath your cinder mass. Because when we sprint and we run, that is going to happen as well. The force is going to be underneath the cinder mass in that cyclic action as the foot's coming around, and that's what that's replicating. Okay, on the next one then, we have our jockeying. So we face backwards to the drill we're going, and we're going 2 left, 2 right. So we're here, we're going 2 left, 2 right. Now an important point here is you keep your feet nice and wide, feet forward. Don't want you to clip your feet together at any point. We don't want to be in a vulnerable position to move. So 2 left, 2 right, then we'll open up those hips slightly, 2 left, 2 right, and then you can turn around, do the same thing on the way back, 2 left, 2 right. Now, you appreciate this isn't a gym, so at home you're going to be doing this faster, maybe over bigger distances, but just for the purpose of the video and where we are, we want to keep it kind of reduced. But that important here is that we kind of get into a nice good position. Those positions of opening up the hip, done in a lot slower pattern, helped in the game. Because in the game you could be jockeying someone, he turns on the inside, you have to have that ability to rotate. Now that ability to rotate comes if you're in a good position, so that's why I say don't cross your feet or don't get your feet close. It's hard to turn on this position as it is to turn here, because they don't have clearance of the hip. Good, and then we go into our lateral shuffle. So same principle here, facing the camera. So we're going to shuffle across, keeping our feet nice and wide. Up you go. Good. Try and keep your feet pointed forward also if you can. Good. So sometimes we can be a bit anal on the mechanics and trying to get the motion right, but those little changes in mechanics make a big difference in how the force is transmitted through the body. So me planting off my foot like this as opposed to like this is going to change the mechanics within the body, but also how the force is transmitted, and then those seconds of those marginal gains of your performance add up over time. So it's important you get the movement right on these drills. Okay, once you've done that warm-up, you've gone through it 2 to 3 times and getting the heart rate nice and high, we're going to go into an agility component here. So if you come over here running, so the agility component is set up, if you think of a dice with nine dots, so there's 9 around here, so I would say at home we can put them 7 meters apart, but put them 7 meters apart from each other, okay? So you have a big dice or a big 9 display on the dice. Dices don't have 9, but you can see what I mean by this. So what we're doing here is that sprint is up 7 meters. The reason why it's 7 meters, on average, that's the amount of distance that we typically sprint in the game. So it's a sprint out 7 meters, then a change of direction. I'll go through the 3 things that I want you to go through. We're adding in a couple of change of direction now into our drills, not just one change of direction. We're trying to overemphasize the mechanics here and try and stress you out a little bit in the movement because you're back to games and training now. So on the first one, it's coming up, cutting. So remember the mechanics of the cut. Outside foot drives me over there. So it's a right, right leg drives me out here, I get to this cone, and then I turn back 180 degrees and I finish up on here. Again, a good athletic position to start with, good base support, back leg drives me first. You know all these mechanics that we talked you through. Again, the cones are there for references. It doesn't have to actually be on the cone. In the game, we don't go run around cones, but they're there for reference. So Rowan's going to show you. Come out and sprint to the first one, change the direction, then change the direction back home. Okay, there's a lot going on here if you do things right. So good athletic position, drop step, good mechanics of my acceleration, outside my center of mass to get me over there, and then back to the start. That's your first one. The second one, you're going to go, it goes 9, so you come out, this is a 90-degree cut. So again, outside of my foot, I'm here, outside of my foot, I'm here, and then a big turn of 180 degrees back to the start position again. So we'll go on the other side this time for Ronan. So coming out, 90-degree cut, outside of the foot, turn, sprinting back in. Now, as I said before, you appreciate this, the space is quite small here, so it's almost hard to replicate exactly the mechanics that we're looking for. But get into a nice, good position, that back step again. Now we have a 90-degree cut, so we really have to slow down completely here, absorb all our force, get almost to zero, then off we go again to the mechanics. Whereas on the 45-degree cut, we could maintain a lot of our momentum, but this time we have to slow down. We have to stop almost with that step, and then sprint across and finish off the drill. Next one is corner, corner, corner. What I mean by that is you come out, again, keeping the momentum, sprinting over to this corner, back to his corner, and then finally the cut is over to that one over there. Okay, so you're going to do 3 of the corners on the drill each time. And then the next time you do it, obviously you go on the other side. So out, 40-degree cut, then back to 180, then it's like a 135-degree cut, and back to that cone over there. You're almost leaving one cone every time. Now again, what we're here emphasizing is a 45-degree cut, a 180 almost cut, and then a 135 cut. You remember the 135 cut that I talked about is turning over your left shoulder? That's here in practice after a little bit of fatigue. So in the game, you might have to be bursting and change the direction and all this stuff. Here's replicated in this drill. If you can take your time to work on the mechanics, video yourself, record yourself doing the movements. Did I use the outside foot? Did I accelerate well? Did I change direction well? Did I decelerate well? These are the things and feedback you can give yourself to make yourself better moving forward. There's your agility drill. Agility drill, warm up, and then we're on to our speed stuff. Now with the speed stuff, we've gone up, we've taken ourselves from relatively low sprint distance, sprint speed to high sprint speed. And now we're now challenging that sprint speed under a bit of fatigue, okay? So it's a 60-meter track. So on this one, you sprint maximally after you've done your warm-up and everything else. You sprint maximally to the top, 10 seconds rest, and you come back again. Now the reps and sets are going to be put on the board because this is both adult and advanced, and they're slightly different depending on which one you're at. So you do a 60-meter sprint, rest 10 seconds, 60 meters back. Now, this isn't sprint training necessarily, it's repeated sprint ability, of course. Now, you've gone through the speed stuff. If you're still working on that speed development, make sure the rest time is longer. But for here, if you've gone through a good level of speed and you're already good at your max speed stuff, here's a good thing to practice because you're not always going to be fresh when you have to go maximum in the game or close to maximum. So here we're trying to replicate almost a worst case scenario for you. So we're not going to go sprint here, I'm not asking you to go maximum here, but a good sprint out to 60 meters. This isn't 60 meters, but just because it's the gym that we're in, you sprint out 60, slow down gradually after it. You won't have enough time to come back, so you got to rest up there, 10 seconds. Again, it's important that we practice our sprint mechanics. So remember that drop step, sitting back into a drop step, accelerating, hands driving me to the top. We'll just do one more for the purpose of the drill. Back step, very good. Accelerate yourself out. Get there and then rest. Now, if you have a watch, that's great. You could have a timer on your phone, interval timer, some really good apps you can download that just gives you 10 seconds. You just go every 10 seconds because that will take you about 5-6 seconds or whatever it might be, or you might have someone to tell you. If you're within the 10 seconds, within 1 or 2 seconds, that's absolutely fine. But you can use an app, you can use whatever you have on your phone. Or you can have a watch, whatever, but try and get that 10 seconds. It's really important that we replicate those worst case scenarios, and they are going to be your worst case scenario, having to sprint back and forward as transitions that happens in games. Okay, that's your penultimate block for speed agility. I hope you enjoyed it and see you again very soon.